Welcome to nearly 2 hours of South Park lore that'll either help you fall asleep or keep you up all night diving deeper into the rabbit hole that is this insane mountain town. I'm talking about the kind of deep-cut facts that make you realize just how brilliantly twisted Trey Parker and Matt Stone really are. From a simple Christmas card animation that accidentally launched one of the most controversial shows in television history, to the town that somehow survived alien invasions, celebrity deaths, and more apocalyptic events than any reasonable municipality should endure. South Park isn't just a show. It's a cultural phenomenon that's been reflecting our worst impulses back at us for over 25 years. We're going to explore everything from the show's chaotic production schedule that somehow churns out episodes in 6 days, to the real-life inspirations behind your favorite characters, to the conspiracy theories that connect everything from the underpants gnomes to the actual meaning behind Kenny's deaths. Whether you're here to study, sleep, or just satisfy that itch for more South Park knowledge, buckle up. We're diving into the lore of a show that's never been afraid to go there, wherever there happens to be this week. Let's head on down to South Park and see what secrets this quiet mountain town is really hiding. The story of South Park's creation is almost as unbelievable as the show itself. It all started with a Christmas card. Not the kind your grandmother sends, but a twisted little animation called The Spirit of Christmas that Trey Parker and Matt Stone created in 1992 while studying at the University of Colorado. But here's where it gets interesting. There were actually two versions of The Spirit of Christmas. The first, made in 1992, was a crude construction paper animation featuring four kids who looked suspiciously familiar in a fight between Jesus and Frosty the Snowman. The second version, created in 1995 and often called Jesus vs. Santa, was the one that would change everything. That second version was commissioned by Fox executive Brian Graydon as a video Christmas card to send to friends in Hollywood. Little did Graydon know he was about to unleash something that would fundamentally change television comedy. The video got bootlegged faster than you could say, "Oh my God, they killed Kenny," spreading through Hollywood like wildfire before eventually making its way onto the early internet. The animation style wasn't chosen for artistic reasons. It was born out of necessity. Parker and Stone were broke college students working with construction paper, glue, and a basic animation setup. That deliberately crude aesthetic would become South Park's signature look, even as the show moved to computer animation that meticulously recreates the construction paper feel. Comedy Central picked up the show, but not without hesitation. The network was relatively new and desperate for original content, but even they weren't sure what they were getting into. The pilot episode had to be significantly toned down from Parker and Stone's original vision. And if you've seen early South Park, you know just how wild their toned-down version was. The show's development process was unlike anything television had seen. Parker and Stone insisted on maintaining creative control, a decision that would prove crucial as they pushed boundaries that other shows wouldn't dare approach. They also insisted on a rapid production schedule that seemed impossible, creating each episode in just 6 days to stay relevant to current events. This breakneck pace wasn't just about topicality, it was about survival. Parker and Stone knew that their brand of satire needed to strike while the iron was hot. Waiting months for episodes to air would kill the impact of their social commentary. The early seasons established the template. For kids getting into increasingly absurd situations while the adults around them proved to be even more ridiculous. But what many viewers didn't realize was how much real-life experience Parker and Stone were drawing from. Both had grown up in small Colorado towns, and the dysfunction they witnessed would become the foundation for South Park's satirical worldview. The show's breakthrough came with its fearless approach to controversy. While other animated shows were content to push boundaries occasionally, South Park made boundary pushing its entire identity. Every episode seemed designed to offend someone, but always with a purpose that became clearer as the series evolved. Stan Marsh, Kyle Broflovsky, Eric Cartman, and Kenny McCormick, four names that have become synonymous with animated chaos. But the origins of these characters run deeper than most fans realize, pulling from real people, real experiences, and some surprisingly dark psychological territory. Stan Marsh is essentially Trey Parker's childhood self, complete with the same last name Parker had before his parents divorced. The character represents Parker's memories of growing up in Conifer, Colorado, dealing with the confusion of childhood while surrounded by adults who seem to have no idea what they were doing. Stan's frequent vomiting when talking to girls, that was pulled directly from Parker's own awkward adolescence. Kyle Broflovsky is based on Matt Stone, from his Jewish heritage to his sense of moral outrage at the world's injustices. But Kyle also represents something more. He's the voice of reason in a world that's lost its mind, often serving as the show's moral center even when that morality is being questioned. His relationship with his mother Sheila was inspired by Stone's own experiences with what he saw as well-meaning, but ultimately destructive parental overprotection. Then there's Eric Cartman, perhaps one of television's most complex villains disguised as a cartoon character. Cartman wasn't based on any single person, but rather represents the worst impulses of humanity concentrated into one pudgy fourth grader. Parker and Stone have described him as their exploration of how someone becomes truly evil, not through tragic circumstances or mental illness, but through pure selfishness and entitlement. What makes Cartman fascinating from a character development standpoint is how the writers have consistently made him worse over time while somehow keeping him sympathetic enough that audiences don't completely reject him. He's committed what amounts to genocide, manipulated his friends into eating human flesh, and shown genuine sociopathic tendencies, yet fans still find him hilarious. Kenny McCormick's character serves multiple functions within the show's mythology. On the surface, he's the running gag, the kid who dies horribly every episode only to return the next week without explanation. But Kenny's deaths serve a deeper purpose, representing the show's approach to consequence-free comedy where nothing really matters and everything resets. The mystery of Kenny's deaths was eventually explained through the show's mythology involving Cthulhu and cosmic horror elements. But the real explanation is simpler. Kenny represents the expendable nature of childhood innocence. Every time he dies, a little bit of the show's soul dies with him, only to be reborn fresh and ready for more trauma. What many fans don't realize is how much these characters have evolved from their original conception. Early South Park episodes portrayed the boys as relatively normal kids, reacting to absurd situations. But as the show progressed, each character became more extreme, more defined by their core traits, taken to logical extremes. Stan became more depressed and cynical, reflecting Parker's own struggles with growing older and losing faith in institutions. Kyle became more righteous and prone to lengthy speeches about morality. Cartman became more obviously evil and manipulative. And Kenny became more aware of his own mortality while simultaneously becoming more reckless. The boys' friendship dynamics also reflect real childhood relationships, complete with the petty betrayals, fierce loyalties, and casual cruelties that define elementary school social structures. Parker and Stone drew heavily from their own childhood friendships, including the complex dynamics of having one friend everyone secretly hates but keeps around anyway. If South Park has taught us anything, it's that the children are often the only sane ones in any given situation. The adults of South Park represent every form of parental and authority figure dysfunction imaginable, creating a world where fourth graders regularly have to save the day because the grown-ups are too busy having nervous breakdowns. Randy Marsh stands as perhaps the greatest example of arrested development in television history. What started as Stan's relatively normal father has evolved into a character who embodies every midlife crisis cliché, while somehow making it fresh and horrifying. Randy's transformations, from geologist to boy band member to marijuana farmer, reflect the modern parent's desperate attempt to remain relevant and cool. Randy's character development mirrors a specific type of Generation X parent who refuses to accept adult responsibilities. His constant need to be the center of attention, his inability to learn from his mistakes, and his tendency to turn every situation into a personal drama make him both hilarious and genuinely disturbing. He represents the nightmare scenario of what happens when the class clown becomes a father. Sheila Broflovsky embodies the well-meaning but ultimately destructive nature of helicopter parenting taken to its logical extreme. Her crusades against everything from Terrence and Philip to internet trolling show how moral panic spreads and how good intentions can lead to catastrophic consequences. She's the parent who would burn down the world to protect her child from scraped knee. What makes Sheila particularly effective as a character is how her motivations are always understandable, even when her actions are clearly wrong. She genuinely believes she's protecting children and making the world better, which makes her more dangerous than any cartoon villain. Her character serves as a critique of both conservative moral authoritarianism and liberal overprotectiveness. Leanne Cartman represents the ultimate permissive parent, enabling her son's worst impulses while maintaining plausible deniability about his behavior. Her mysterious past, including hints about her promiscuous lifestyle and possible involvement in various conspiracies, adds layers to what could have been a simple bad mother stereotype. The relationship between Leanne and Eric is genuinely disturbing when examined closely. She's created a monster through her inability to set boundaries or consequences, yet she seems either oblivious to or secretly proud of her son's manipulation skills. Their dynamic represents the worst-case scenario of unconditional love without unconditional standards. Gerald Broflovsky starts as a reasonable attorney and father figure, but gradually reveals himself to be just as petty and vindictive as any other South Park adult. His evolution into an internet troll during the series' exploration of online culture shows how even seemingly stable adults can be corrupted by anonymity and perceived powerlessness. The McCormick parents, Stuart and Carol, represent poverty and dysfunction in a way that's both sympathetic and horrifying. Their struggles with alcoholism, domestic violence, and financial instability create the environment where Kenny's deaths become almost a mercy. Yet the show never mocks their poverty directly, instead focusing on how their poor choices perpetuate their circumstances. What unites all of South Park's adults is their fundamental inability to handle responsibility appropriately. They either overreact to minor problems or completely ignore major ones. They seek validation from children while simultaneously demanding respect they haven't earned. They create problems through their own neuroses, then expect others to solve them. This dysfunction isn't accidental. It represents Parker and Stone's view of how many adults actually behave when stripped of social pretenses. The show suggests that most people never really grow up. They just get better at hiding their childishness behind adult language and responsibilities. While the main characters drive South Park's narrative, it's the supporting cast that creates the rich, insane tapestry that makes the show's world feel lived in and authentically chaotic. From recurring classmates to bizarre townspeople, these characters form the backbone of South Park's satirical universe. Butterscotch represents pure innocence corrupted by the world around him. Originally designed as a background character, Butters gradually emerged as one of the show's most important figures, serving as both comic relief and tragic commentary on how society damages its most vulnerable members. His various personas, from Professor Chaos to Margarine, show how even the gentlest souls can be pushed to extremes. What makes Butters particularly effective is his unwavering optimism in the face of constant abuse. His parents ground him for everything. His classmates exploit his naivety, and the world consistently punishes his kindness. Yet he maintains his fundamental decency. He represents what childhood innocence looks like when it refuses to be completely destroyed. Tweak Tweak embodies anxiety disorder as comedy, which sounds problematic until you realize how accurately the show portrays the experience of living with constant panic. His relationship with Craig Tucker evolved from a simple background joke into one of the show's most genuine romantic relationships, showing how the series has matured in its handling of LGBTQ+ themes. Craig Tucker's deadpan cynicism makes him the perfect foil for both Tweak's anxiety and the general chaos around him. His signature middle finger gesture and monotone delivery have made him a fan favorite, representing the part of childhood that's already given up on adult authority figures. His family's obsession with guinea pigs adds an element of surreal domesticity to his character. Clyde Donovan serves as the everyman of South Park Elementary. Neither as smart as Kyle, as evil as Cartman, as anxious as Tweak, or as innocent as Butters. His normalcy makes him the perfect straight man for the more extreme characters, and his occasional moments of depth remind viewers that even background characters have inner lives. Token Black, later renamed Token Williams to address the obvious racial implications, started as a problematic stereotype, but evolved into a commentary on tokenism itself. His wealth, intelligence, and general competence contrast sharply with the dysfunction around him, making him one of the few genuinely admirable characters in the entire series. Wendy Testaberger represents female intelligence and agency in a world dominated by male childishness. Her on and off relationship with Stan serves as a microcosm of romantic relationships, complete with the communication failures and emotional immaturity that plague adult relationships. Her willingness to resort to violence when pushed too far makes her one of the show's most formidable characters. Jimmy Vollmer's character initially seems like it might be making fun of disabilities, but his genuine talent as a comedian and his unwavering confidence reveal the show's actual target: society's discomfort with disability rather than disabled people themselves. His rivalry with Timmy over comedy territory shows how the series can find humor in competition without mocking the competitors. Timmy Birch's limited vocabulary, essentially just his own name and living a lie, creates comedy through other characters' reactions to him rather than through mockery of his condition. His relationship with his turkey, Gobbles, and his friendships with other characters show him as a fully realized person despite his communication limitations. The Goth Kids represent teenage rebellion taken to its logical extreme, finding everything conformist, while conforming rigidly to their own aesthetic standards. Their philosophical discussions about the meaninglessness of existence, delivered in deadpan monotone, perfectly capture both genuine teenage angst and the performative aspects of alternative culture. These supporting characters work because they each represent a specific aspect of childhood or society that Parker and Stone want to explore. They're not just random additions, but carefully crafted elements of South Park's larger satirical project. Each one serves as a lens through which the show can examine different aspects of human behavior, from innocent optimism to cynical detachment. What makes them memorable is how they maintain consistent personalities while still being flexible enough to serve different narrative functions. Butters can be the innocent victim in one episode and the unwitting catalyst for chaos in another, all while remaining fundamentally true to his established character. Beneath South Park's crude animation and childish humor lies a surprisingly dark exploration of mortality, violence, and the real consequences of actions in a world that often seems consequence-free. The show's relationship with death and violence reveals layers of meaning that go far beyond shock value comedy. Kenny's deaths represent the most obvious example of South Park's complicated relationship with mortality. What started as a simple running gag evolved into a complex meditation on death, resurrection, and the meaninglessness of individual existence in an uncaring universe. The reveal that Kenny's deaths are real, that he remembers each one, and that his parents' cult membership traps him in an endless cycle of rebirth, transforms comedy into genuine horror. The mythology surrounding Kenny's immortality connects to deeper themes about cosmic horror and humanity's place in an indifferent universe. His parents' worship of Cthulhu, the revelation that Kenny's deaths serve a larger cosmic purpose, and his occasional transformations into Mysterian show how the series uses supernatural elements to explore very real anxieties about mortality and meaninglessness. But Kenny's deaths are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to South Park's body count. The show has killed off countless characters, from minor townspeople to major recurring figures, often in spectacularly violent ways. These deaths range from the cartoonishly absurd to the genuinely disturbing, and the show's attitude toward them reveals important aspects of its worldview. The deaths of characters like Chef and Ms. Chalk Sondic carry emotional weight that goes beyond their shock value. Chef's death, in particular, served as both a commentary on Scientology and a genuine farewell to a beloved character, showing how the series can balance its irreverent tone with real, emotional consequences. Violence in South Park operates on multiple levels. There's cartoonish violence that exists purely for comedy, like the various ways Kenny dies or the elaborate revenge schemes that characters concoct. But there's also realistic violence that the show treats with appropriate gravity, like domestic abuse in the McCormick household or the implications of Cartman's more serious schemes. The show's most disturbing episodes often focus on how quickly civilized behavior can break down when social structures are threatened. Episodes like Imagination Land and The Return of the Fellowship of the Ring to the Two Towers show how easily children can be traumatized and how adults often fail to protect them from inappropriate content or situations. Cartman's evolution from annoying kid to genuine sociopath represents perhaps the darkest aspect of the series. His manipulation of his friends into cannibalism in Scott Tenorman Must Die marked a turning point where his actions crossed from mischievous into genuinely evil. The episode works as comedy, but it also works as horror when you consider what it reveals about Cartman's psychology. The long-term consequences of trauma appear throughout the series, often in subtle ways. Characters like Butters show signs of genuine psychological damage from their experiences, and the adult's dysfunction often stems from their own childhood traumas. The show suggests that South Park's cycle of violence and chaos perpetuates itself across generations. What makes South Park's darkness effective is how it contrasts with the show's bright colors and simple animation style. The disconnect between the visual presentation and the content creates a unique form of cognitive dissonance that makes both the comedy and horror more impactful. The series also explores how people become desensitized to violence and tragedy. Characters often react to horrific events with casual indifference, reflecting how modern media consumption can numb people to real suffering. The townspeople's tendency to ignore or rationalize away obvious problems mirrors real-world responses to systemic issues. Perhaps most disturbing is how the show depicts the corruption of innocence. Characters like Butters and Tweaks suffer genuine psychological damage from their experiences, yet they're often denied the support they need because the adults around them are too self-absorbed to notice or care. This reflects real concerns about how society fails to protect its most vulnerable members. The show's treatment of death and violence ultimately serves its satirical purposes, but also creates a genuine sense of stakes and consequences that many comedies lack. When characters suffer, their suffering matters, even when it's played for laughs. This emotional authenticity beneath the crude exterior is what gives South Park its lasting impact and cultural relevance. No aspect of South Park has generated more controversy or revealed more about the show's underlying philosophy than its treatment of religion. From the very beginning, with Jesus and Santa literally fighting in the spirit of Christmas, the series has used religious themes to explore questions of faith, morality, and the human need for meaning in an apparently meaningless universe. The show's Jesus Christ is perhaps one of television's most unique religious figures, a well-meaning but somewhat ineffectual talk show host who genuinely wants to help people but struggles with the gap between divine expectations and earthly realities. This version of Jesus embodies the disconnect between religious ideals and practical application, showing how even perfect moral guidance can fail when filtered through human institutions. Jesus' relationship with the other characters reveals the show's nuanced approach to faith. He's not mocked for being religious, but rather for his naivety about human nature. His friendship with Santa Claus, representing the commercialization of Christian holidays, creates ongoing tension between spiritual meaning and material consumption that reflects real cultural conflicts. Satan's portrayal as a sensitive, relationship-obsessed individual struggling with self-esteem issues subverts traditional religious narratives while exploring genuine questions about good and evil. His romantic problems and therapeutic sessions suggest that even ultimate evil might stem from psychological damage rather than inherent malice, challenging simplistic moral frameworks. The Mormon episodes showcase the series' complex relationship with organized religion. While the show clearly finds Mormon beliefs absurd, it consistently portrays individual Mormons as kind, moral people whose faith makes them better neighbors and citizens. This distinction between institutional criticism and personal respect runs throughout South Park's religious commentary. Scientology receives no such nuanced treatment, with the show presenting it as pure fraud designed to exploit vulnerable people. The Trapped in the Closet episode marked a turning point where Parker and Stone abandoned their usual both sides approach in favor of direct condemnation, showing how they distinguish between legitimate religious beliefs and obvious scams. The Catholic Church episodes explore institutional corruption while maintaining respect for genuine faith. The show's treatment of the sexual abuse scandal focuses on institutional cover-ups rather than mocking Catholic doctrine itself, suggesting that the problem lies with human corruption rather than spiritual beliefs. Jewish identity appears throughout the series primarily through Kyle's family, exploring the tension between religious tradition and secular assimilation. Kyle struggles with faith, often mirror real experiences of American Jews, try to maintain cultural identity while participating in broader society. His mother's overprotectiveness and his father's occasional hypocrisy reflect common family dynamics within religious communities. The Passion of the Jew episode demonstrates how the show uses religious controversy to explore broader questions about artistic responsibility and cultural sensitivity. The episode's conclusion, that art should be judged on its own merits rather than its potential for misinterpretation, reveals the creator's philosophy about their own controversial content. Islamic representation in South Park has been complicated by external censorship, with Comedy Central's refusal to show images of Muhammad creating its own commentary on religious sensitivity and free speech. The two-part Cartoon Wars episode explicitly addresses these issues, using the fictional controversy to explore real questions about artistic freedom versus religious respect. Hinduism and Buddhism appear less frequently, but often receive more respectful treatment, perhaps because they present less obvious targets for satire. When these religions do appear, they're usually portrayed as offering genuine wisdom, though their practitioners are still subject to the same human failings as everyone else. The show's treatment of religious fundamentalism consistently targets extremism regardless of its source. Whether it's Christian evangelicals, Islamic terrorists, or Jewish zealots, the series portrays religious extremism as a form of mental illness that corrupts genuine spiritual seeking. This even-handed condemnation suggests that the problem isn't faith itself, but the human tendency to use faith as justification for violence and intolerance. Cults receive particularly harsh treatment, with episodes exploring how vulnerable people can be manipulated by charismatic leaders offering simple answers to complex problems. The various cults that appear throughout the series, from the Scientologists to the Super Adventure Club, all share common traits of exploitation and abuse disguised as spiritual enlightenment. The cosmic horror elements introduced in later seasons add another layer to the show's religious commentary. The revelation that Cthulhu and other Lovecraftian entities exist in the South Park universe suggests that traditional religions might be comforting lies protecting humanity from terrifying truths about the nature of reality. What emerges from South Park's religious commentary is a complex worldview that respects genuine spiritual seeking while condemning institutional corruption and extremism. The show suggests that faith can be a positive force when it promotes kindness and community, but becomes dangerous when it's used to justify violence or exploitation. The series' ultimate religious message seems to be that how people treat each other matters more than what they believe about the divine. Characters are judged by their actions rather than their faith, and the most moral characters often come from different religious backgrounds, suggesting that goodness transcends theological differences. Few shows have made sport of celebrity culture quite like South Park, turning famous figures into cartoon punching bags while exploring the bizarre relationship between fame, public perception, and reality. The series' approach to celebrity satire has evolved from simple mockery to sophisticated commentary on the nature of fame itself. The show's treatment of celebrities falls into several distinct categories, each serving different satirical purposes. Some celebrities appear as themselves, usually portrayed as either completely out of touch with reality or desperately trying to maintain relevance. Others become recurring characters whose fictional versions take on lives of their own, often bearing little resemblance to their real-world counterparts. Tom Cruise's appearances showcase the show's ability to transform celebrity quirks into full-blown psychological studies. His portrayal as an insecure, delusional figure obsessed with his own image reflects broader questions about how fame affects mental health. The Trapped in the Closet episode used Cruise's alleged sexuality as a jumping-off point for exploring how public figures' private lives become public property. Barbra Streisand's transformation into a recurring monster reflects how the show weaponizes celebrity egos. Her Godzilla-like rampage through South Park serves as both literal monster movie parody and metaphor for how celebrity narcissism can become genuinely destructive. The episode established the template for turning famous people into cartoon villains based on their public personas. The Paris Hilton episode explored how fame can be manufactured and monetized without any underlying talent or achievement. Her portrayal as a vapid influence on young girls served as commentary on how celebrity culture promotes superficial values over genuine accomplishment. The episode's violence toward her character reflected genuine anger about the promotion of hollow celebrity. Michael Jackson's multiple appearances throughout the series chart the evolution of public perception around a controversial figure. Early episodes portrayed him as a misunderstood eccentric, but later appearances reflected growing suspicions about his behavior with children. The show's treatment of Jackson demonstrates how celebrity satire can capture changing cultural attitudes over time. Kanye West's appearances showcase how the series handles celebrities who are both talented and deeply flawed. His portrayal as a gay fish, based on a simple pun, evolved into a broader commentary on artistic ego and the inability to accept criticism. The joke's persistence across multiple episodes reflects how celebrity culture amplifies and perpetuates public embarrassment. The Mel Gibson episode used the actor's real-world controversies to explore questions about separating art from artists. The character's portrayal as a torture-obsessed madman reflected public reaction to Gibson's personal scandals while questioning whether enjoying someone's work implicitly endorses their behavior. Ben Affleck's appearances often focus on his relationship with Jennifer Lopez and later controversies, using him as a symbol of how celebrity relationships become public entertainment. His portrayal as weak and easily manipulated reflects broader cultural attitudes about masculinity and fame. The show's treatment of dead celebrities adds another layer of complexity to its celebrity commentary. Figures like Elvis Presley and John Lennon appear as ghosts or in flashbacks, often portrayed more sympathetically than living celebrities. This suggests that death provides a kind of redemption that living celebrities can't achieve. Reality television stars receive particularly harsh treatment, with figures like Kim Kardashian portrayed as talentless attention seekers whose fame represents everything wrong with celebrity culture. The show's contempt for reality TV reflects broader anxieties about how fame has been democratized and devalued. The series also explores how celebrities use their platforms for political activism, often portraying them as well-meaning but ultimately out of touch with ordinary people's concerns. Episodes featuring celebrity activists usually end with their causes being revealed as misguided or self-serving, reflecting skepticism about celebrity political engagement. What makes South Park's celebrity satire effective is how it reveals the psychological dynamics underlying fame culture. Celebrities aren't just mocked for being famous, but for how fame has warped their perception of reality and their relationships with others. The show suggests that celebrity culture creates a kind of mutual delusion where famous people believe their own hype while audiences participate in the fiction. The series' willingness to name names and include real celebrities in outrageous situations has created genuine consequences for both the show and its targets. Some celebrities have embraced their South Park portrayals, while others have threatened legal action or publicly condemned the show. These reactions often become part of the show's ongoing commentary on celebrity psychology. The recurring theme in South Park celebrity episodes is how fame isolates people from authentic human connection. Whether it's through ego inflation, paranoia, or simple loss of perspective, celebrities are consistently portrayed as tragic figures whose success has cut them off from genuine relationships and self-awareness. Perhaps most importantly, the show's celebrity satire serves as a mirror for audience behavior. By exaggerating celebrity worship and obsession, South Park forces viewers to confront their own participation in celebrity culture. The show suggests that the audience shares responsibility for creating the very phenomena it mocks. The evolution of South Park's celebrity commentary reflects broader changes in fame culture itself. Early episodes focused on traditional Hollywood celebrities, but later seasons have incorporated internet celebrities, social media influencers, and viral sensations, showing how the nature of fame has changed with technology. South Park's political commentary has consistently defied easy categorization, earning both praise and condemnation from across the political spectrum. The show's approach to politics reveals a sophisticated understanding of how political narratives are constructed and how they function in American culture. The series' famous douche and turd sandwich metaphor for electoral politics captures the show's fundamental cynicism about the American political system. This perspective suggests that voters are often forced to choose between equally unappealing options, with the real power lying in the hands of people who don't appear on ballots. Al Gore's recurring appearances as a climate change-obsessed figure reflect the show's complicated relationship with environmental activism. While not denying climate change itself, the series mocks the apocalyptic rhetoric and self-righteousness often associated with environmental advocacy. Gore's transformation into a super serial monster literalizes how political passion can become monstrous. The show's treatment of both major political parties reveals equal opportunity disdain for partisan thinking. Republicans are portrayed as greedy and callous, while Democrats are shown as sanctimonious and ineffective. This both sides approach reflects the creator's libertarian leanings while critiquing the entire political establishment. Barack Obama's appearances in the series showcase how the show handles popular political figures. Rather than attacking Obama directly, episodes often focus on the unrealistic expectations placed on him by supporters who treat politics like entertainment. The show suggests that Obama's celebrity status actually hindered his effectiveness as a president. Donald Trump's portrayal evolved throughout his presidency, with the show initially treating him as a joke before grappling with the reality of his political impact. The series' struggle to satirize Trump effectively reflects broader challenges in comedy during his administration. How do you parody something that already seems like parody? The Iraq War episodes demonstrate how South Park handles serious geopolitical issues. Rather than taking a clear anti-war stance, the series focuses on how the war was marketed to the American public and how political leaders use fear to manipulate popular opinion. The show's criticism targets the propaganda rather than military personnel or strategy. Immigration episodes explore the complexity of American attitudes toward border security and cultural assimilation. The series typically portrays anti-immigrant sentiment as rooted in economic anxiety and cultural fear rather than simple racism, while also critiquing the exploitation of immigrant labor by employers who publicly oppose immigration. The series' handling of conspiracy theories reveals sophisticated understanding of how alternative narratives function in political discourse. Rather than simply mocking conspiracy theorists, episodes often explore why people are drawn to conspiracy thinking and how legitimate skepticism can evolve into paranoid delusion. Gun control episodes showcase the show's ability to find middle ground on polarizing issues. Rather than advocating for either gun rights or gun control, the series typically focuses on how the debate itself has become performative and disconnected from practical solutions. Characters on both sides are shown as more interested in winning arguments than solving problems. Healthcare episodes explore the absurdities of the American medical system without advocating for specific policy solutions. The show's criticism typically focuses on how healthcare has become a political football rather than addressing the actual needs of sick people. Both free market and government solutions are shown as potentially problematic. The series' treatment of political correctness has evolved significantly over its run. Early episodes often mocked sensitivity around language and representation, but later seasons have shown more awareness of how language affects marginalized groups while still critiquing performative activism and virtue signaling. Election episodes reveal the show's deep skepticism about democratic processes. Voting is often portrayed as meaningless ritual, with real decisions made by powerful interests operating behind the scenes. The series suggests that electoral politics serves primarily as entertainment for the masses rather than genuine governance. Political activism receives mixed treatment depending on the sincerity of the activists' motivations. Characters who genuinely care about issues are treated sympathetically even when their methods are flawed, while those seeking attention or social status through activism are mocked mercilessly. The show's libertarian perspective becomes most apparent in episodes dealing with government overreach and individual freedom. Whether it's smoking bans, security measures, or social regulations, the series consistently sides with individual choice over collective action, even when acknowledging the potential negative consequences of such choices. Foreign policy episodes often focus on American cultural imperialism rather than military intervention. The series suggests that America's real power lies in its ability to export culture and values rather than in its military might, though both forms of influence are portrayed as potentially destructive to other societies. What makes South Park's political commentary effective is its willingness to attack sacred cows on all sides. The show's equal opportunity offensiveness forces viewers to examine their own political assumptions rather than simply confirming their existing beliefs. The series' political episodes often work by taking partisan arguments to their logical extremes, revealing the absurdities inherent in rigid ideological thinking. By showing how both conservative and liberal positions can lead to ridiculous outcomes, the show encourages more nuanced political thinking. Perhaps most importantly, South Park's political commentary consistently humanizes its targets even while mocking them. Political figures are rarely portrayed as evil, but rather as flawed humans responding to impossible pressures and contradictory demands. This approach makes the satire more effective by making it more believable. The show's enduring political relevance stems from its focus on underlying patterns and dynamics rather than specific personalities or events. While individual politicians come and go, the systemic problems South Park identifies, corruption, performative outrage, and the disconnect between political rhetoric and reality, remain constant features of American political life. Beyond politics and religion, South Park has consistently tackled the social issues that define contemporary American culture, often arriving at conclusions that challenge both progressive and conservative orthodoxies. The show's approach to social commentary reveals a deep skepticism about simple solutions to complex problems. The series' handling of LGBTQ+ issues has evolved dramatically over its run, reflecting broader cultural changes while maintaining its iconoclastic spirit. Early episodes often relied on outdated stereotypes and slurs, but later seasons have shown genuine growth in understanding and representation. The relationship between Tweek and Craig, for instance, began as a fan-shipping joke but evolved into a genuine portrayal of young love. Big AAL's character represents the show's early attempt to create positive LGBTQ+ representation, though his flamboyant personality and speaking style now seem dated. However, his consistent portrayal as kind, intelligent, and morally centered established a template for the show's more nuanced later treatments of sexual identity. The Tolerance episodes explore how good intentions can become oppressive when taken to extremes. The series suggests that forced acceptance can be just as damaging as prejudice, creating artificial harmony that ignores genuine differences and conflicts. This perspective reflects the creator's skepticism about top-down social engineering. Racism episodes typically focus on how racial attitudes are learned and perpetuated rather than on individual acts of discrimination. The show's treatment of Token's character evolution, from Token Black to exploring the problematic nature of tokenism itself, shows the series' growing awareness of systemic racial issues. The Naggers episode demonstrates the show's controversial approach to racial humor, using a Wheel of Fortune scenario to explore how racial slurs function in society. While the episode generated significant controversy, it sparked genuine conversations about language, context, and the power dynamics underlying racial slurs. Gender issues receive complex treatment throughout the series, often subverting traditional expectations while acknowledging biological and social differences. The strong female characters, from Wendy's intelligence and leadership to the various competent mothers, balance the show's frequent crude humor about gender relations. The transgender episodes mark a significant evolution in the show's social commentary, moving from mockery to genuine exploration of identity issues. The PC principal storyline incorporated transgender rights into broader discussions about political correctness and social change, showing how the series has matured in its handling of sensitive topics. Class warfare appears throughout South Park, though often in subtle ways. The economic differences between characters like Token, Wealthy, and Kenny, Impoverished, create ongoing tension that reflects real-world inequality. The show's treatment of poverty avoids both condescension and romanticization, instead focusing on how economic stress affects family dynamics. The gentrification episodes explore how economic development can destroy community character while improving living conditions. The series presents this as a genuine dilemma without easy answers, showing how progress and preservation often conflict in complex ways. Mental health issues receive increasingly sophisticated treatment as the series has progressed. Characters like Tweak and Stan's depression are portrayed with genuine empathy, while the show also critiques the over-medicalization of normal childhood behavior and the pharmaceutical industry's role in mental health treatment. The school shooting episodes demonstrate the show's ability to tackle extremely sensitive topics while maintaining its satirical edge. Rather than mocking victims or trivializing violence, these episodes focus on how society responds to tragedy and how safety measures can create their own problems. Bullying episodes explore the complex dynamics of childhood aggression and victimization. The series avoids simple victim/perpetrator narratives, instead showing how bullying often stems from the bully's own insecurities and how adult intervention can sometimes make situations worse. Technology episodes reveal the show's sophisticated understanding of how digital communication affects human relationships. From internet addiction to social media obsession, the series explores how technology promises connection while often delivering isolation. The PC principal arc represents one of the show's most sustained explorations of contemporary social issues. Rather than simply mocking political correctness, the storyline examines how well-intentioned efforts to create inclusive environments can become authoritarian and counterproductive. Environmental episodes typically focus on the psychology of environmental activism rather than environmental science itself. The series often portrays environmental concerns as legitimate while critiquing the apocalyptic rhetoric and moral superiority that can accompany green advocacy. Drug and alcohol episodes explore addiction and substance abuse with surprising nuance. While the show often mocks drug culture and prohibition efforts equally, it also shows the real consequences of addiction on families and communities. Randy's Marijuana arc particularly explores how legalization can create new problems while solving old ones. The series' treatment of education consistently critiques both progressive and traditional approaches to schooling. Teachers are often portrayed as incompetent or self-serving, while administrative solutions typically create more problems than they solve. The show suggests that good education depends more on individual relationships than on systemic reforms. Consumer culture receives ongoing satirical treatment, from the various fad episodes to the broader critique of how marketing shapes identity and values. The series suggests that Americans often mistake consumption for accomplishment and confuse brand loyalty with personal identity. What makes South Park's social commentary effective is its willingness to acknowledge the complexity of social issues while still taking clear moral stance. The show rarely offers simple solutions, but consistently advocates for empathy, honesty, and individual responsibility over institutional fixes. The series' approach to social change reflects deep skepticism about rapid cultural transformation while still supporting gradual progress. This perspective suggests that lasting change must come from genuine understanding rather than forced compliance with new social rules. Beneath South Park's episodic structure lies a complex mythology that connects seemingly random events into a coherent, if insane, worldview. The series has developed an intricate conspiracy cosmology that explains everything from Kenny's deaths to the town's frequent supernatural encounters. The Underpants gnomes represent one of the show's most enduring mysteries and metaphors. Their three-phase business plan: Phase 1, collect underpants; Phase 2, Phase 3, profit, has become a cultural touchstone for incomplete logic and magical thinking. But their continued presence in the series suggests they serve a larger purpose in South Park's hidden economy of supernatural entities. The gnomes' relationship to the larger supernatural ecosystem becomes clearer when viewed alongside other recurring magical creatures. From the Christmas critters to the woodland critters, South Park is populated by beings that operate according to their own inscrutable logic, while influencing human events in ways that seem random but may follow deeper patterns. Cthulhu's introduction to the series revealed the cosmic horror elements that had been lurking beneath the show's surface all along. Kenny's immortality, the various apocalyptic events, and the general sense that reality in South Park operates according to non-human rules all make more sense when viewed through a Lovecraftian lens. The Mysterian storyline explicitly connects Kenny's deaths to cosmic forces beyond human understanding. His role as Mysterian, a Batman-like vigilante with actual supernatural powers, suggests that his suffering serves a larger purpose in maintaining cosmic balance. The revelation that his deaths prevent worse catastrophes reframes his running gag as genuine heroism. The member berries represent one of the series' most sophisticated conspiracy theories, literalizing how nostalgia can be weaponized for political purposes. These seemingly innocent fruit that make people remember better times reveal themselves as agents of fascism, showing how false nostalgia can undermine democratic institutions. The Internet conspiracy episodes explore how information warfare actually functions in the digital age. Rather than focusing on specific false narratives, the series examines how the proliferation of competing truths can make reality itself seem negotiable. The revelation that internet trolling is actually a form of psychological warfare connects individual online behavior to larger geopolitical conflicts. The PC Principle storyline initially appears to be about political correctness in education, but gradually reveals itself as part of a larger conspiracy involving social media manipulation and corporate control. The connection between PC culture and advertising revenue shows how social justice language can be co-opted for profit. The various cult episodes, from Scientology to the Super Adventure Club, reveal a pattern of how vulnerable people are recruited into organizations that promise meaning while delivering exploitation. These groups all share common recruitment techniques and psychological manipulation methods, suggesting they may be connected to larger conspiratorial networks. The government conspiracy episodes show how official narratives are constructed and maintained. Rather than portraying the government as omnipotent, the series typically shows bureaucratic incompetence and infighting. The real conspiracy isn't coordinated malice, but rather the system's tendency to protect itself regardless of public welfare. Man Bear Pig's evolution from a joke about Al Gore's environmental concerns to a real threat that requires serious action demonstrates how the series uses mythology to explore changing perspectives on real issues. The creature's eventual acknowledgement as a genuine threat parallels changing attitudes toward climate change. The celebrity conspiracy episodes reveal how fame and influence can be manufactured and manipulated. From the various talent competitions to the celebrity worship episodes, the series suggests that popular culture is carefully engineered to distract people from more important issues. The school administration conspiracy shows how educational institutions can become tools of social control rather than genuine learning environments. The various principals, counselors, and teachers often serve agendas that have nothing to do with student welfare, reflecting broader concerns about institutional capture. The economic conspiracy episodes explore how financial systems are designed to benefit insiders while exploiting ordinary people. From the banking episodes to the various get-rich-quick schemes, the series shows how economic inequality is maintained through complex systems that most people don't understand. The religious conspiracy episodes connect various faith traditions to larger patterns of social control. While respecting genuine spiritual seeking, the series shows how religious institutions can be used to manipulate believers for political or financial gain. The alien conspiracy elements tie together many of the series' supernatural occurrences. The various UFO sightings, cattle mutilations, and strange experiments suggest that South Park may be a testing ground for extraterrestrial research. This would explain why such a small town experiences so many bizarre events. The time travel episodes reveal that South Park's timeline may not be as linear as it appears. Various characters have traveled through time, created alternate timelines, and encountered future versions of themselves. These temporal anomalies suggest that the town exists at some kind of chronological nexus point. The recurring theme of childhood innocence being corrupted by adult conspiracy connects many of the series' storylines. The children consistently uncover adult schemes and corruption, suggesting that maintaining childlike perspective is necessary for seeing through official narratives. What makes South Park's conspiracy mythology effective is how it mirrors real-world conspiracy thinking while maintaining enough ambiguity to avoid definitive answers. The series suggests that while specific conspiracy theories may be false, the underlying pattern of powerful interests manipulating public perception is absolutely real. The show's conspiracies typically involve multiple competing groups rather than single omnipotent organizations. This reflects a more sophisticated understanding of how power actually operates, through complex networks of competing interests rather than unified control. The mythology serves both comedic and serious purposes, allowing the series to explore real concerns about power and manipulation while maintaining its satirical edge. By literalizing conspiracy theories, the show can examine their psychological appeal while critiquing their factual basis. The production of South Park represents one of television's most remarkable logistical achievements, with each episode created from concept to air in just 6 days. This breakneck pace isn't just about efficiency. It's integral to the show's satirical mission and cultural relevance. The 6-day production cycle begins on Thursday, with the writing staff gathering to discuss current events and potential episode ideas. This timing allows the show to respond to events that occurred as recently as the previous weekend, giving South Park an immediacy that most television can't match. Trey Parker and Matt Stone's creative partnership drives this process, with Parker typically handling the writing and directing while Stone focuses on production and business aspects. However, their collaboration is so close that these roles often blur, with both contributing to every aspect of the show's creation. The writing process itself is notoriously chaotic and high pressure. Parker has described staying up for days straight, consuming massive amounts of caffeine while trying to find the comedic angle in current events. The pressure often leads to last-minute inspiration, with entire episode concepts sometimes changing hours before animation begins. The animation process has evolved dramatically since the show's construction paper origins. While early episodes were literally created using construction paper cutouts, the series now uses computer animation that meticulously recreates the handmade aesthetic. This technological advancement allows for more complex scenes while maintaining the show's distinctive visual style. The voice acting presents unique challenges, with Parker and Stone performing most of the main characters themselves. Companies sometimes refusing to purchase commercial time during controversial episodes. These boycotts can affect the show's revenue, while also demonstrating consumer power in media content decisions. The rating system battles have involved ongoing negotiations with television ratings boards about appropriate content warnings. The show's MA rating acknowledges its adult content, but debates continue about whether additional warnings are necessary for particularly controversial episodes. The streaming platform policies create new forms of censorship as episodes may be edited differently for different distribution methods. Content that airs and censored on Comedy Central may be edited for streaming services or international distribution, creating multiple versions of individual episodes. The social media censorship extends the show's censorship battles into new platforms, with clips and memes sometimes being removed from platforms like YouTube or TikTok based on community guidelines. These removals often generate more attention than the original content would have received. The academic censorship involves debates about whether the show should be included in college courses or scholarly discussions. Some educators argue that the show's satirical content provides valuable cultural commentary, while others contend that its offensive content makes it inappropriate for academic settings. The merchandise censorship affects how the show's content can be monetized, with certain designs or slogans being rejected by retailers or manufacturing companies. These commercial restrictions can limit how fans can express their appreciation for the show while affecting potential revenue streams. The convention and public appearance restrictions sometimes limit where and how the creators can discuss their work. Certain venues or organizations may be reluctant to host events featuring South Park creators due to the show's controversial reputation. The parental advisory warnings and age restrictions attempt to balance free speech with child protection concerns. However, debates continue about whether these warnings are sufficient or whether additional restrictions are necessary to prevent inappropriate exposure. The cultural sensitivity training requirements in some contexts reflect ongoing debates about whether satirical content creators should be required to understand the cultural impact of their work. These requirements can create tension between creative freedom and social responsibility. The legal precedent cases involving South Park content have helped establish boundaries for satirical speech while demonstrating the ongoing evolution of free speech law in the digital age. These cases often involve balancing satirical freedom against privacy rights and defamation concerns. What makes South Park's censorship battle significant is how they reveal broader cultural tensions about free speech, religious sensitivity, and corporate responsibility. The show's controversies often become lightning rods for larger debates about American values and media ethics. The creators' responses to censorship attempts have consistently emphasized free speech principles while acknowledging the potential for their content to cause genuine offense. This position reflects a libertarian approach to expression that prioritizes artistic freedom over comfort or convenience. The evolution of censorship standards around South Park content shows how cultural attitudes toward offensive material change over time. Content that seemed shocking in early seasons may appear tame by contemporary standards, while new episodes continue to find fresh ways to provoke controversy. The international perspective on South Park's censorship battles reveals how American free speech principles are viewed in different cultural contexts. The show's treatment abroad often reflects broader geopolitical tensions and cultural differences about appropriate satirical targets. South Park's influence extends far beyond television comedy, fundamentally altering how satirical content is created, distributed, and consumed in the digital age. The series has become a cultural touchstone that shapes political discourse, internet culture, and the boundaries of acceptable humor in American society. The phrase "South Park did it" has become a cultural shorthand for acknowledging when a satirical concept has already been explored. This phenomenon demonstrates how thoroughly the series has covered controversial territory, making it difficult for other comedic works to find fresh angles on established satirical targets. The show's political influence operates through its ability to crystallize complex issues into memorable phrases and concepts. Terms like douche and turd sandwich have entered political vocabulary, while episodes like Man Bear Pig have shaped public discourse around environmental issues and political hyperbole. The internet meme culture owes significant debt to South Park's quotable dialogue and memorable characters. Phrases like, "Oh my god, they killed Kenny," and "respect my authorita" became early internet memes, demonstrating how television content could achieve viral distribution even before social media platforms existed. The show's influence on animation style can be seen throughout internet culture, with countless YouTube videos and web series adopting the deliberately crude aesthetic that South Park popularized. This visual language has become synonymous with satirical content and anti-establishment humor. The comedy special and stand-up influence appears in how contemporary comedians approach controversial material. South Park's model of equal opportunity offensiveness has inspired comics to tackle taboo subjects while maintaining the defense that no group is specifically targeted for harassment. The academic study of South Park has produced scholarly articles, college courses, and book-length analyses examining the show's cultural significance. This intellectual attention demonstrates how satirical content can transcend entertainment to become legitimate subjects for serious cultural analysis. The international cultural exchange facilitated by South Park has introduced global audiences to American satirical perspectives while also exposing American viewers to international reactions to their cultural exports. This cross-cultural dialogue has influenced how satirical content is created and consumed worldwide. The religious discourse surrounding the show has forced faith communities to grapple with how they respond to satirical criticism. The series has influenced how religious leaders approach media criticism and has sparked internal debates about faith, humor, and cultural engagement. The free speech advocacy inspired by South Park's censorship battles has influenced broader conversations about artistic freedom and corporate responsibility. The show's legal battles have helped establish precedents for satirical speech while demonstrating the ongoing tensions between expression and sensitivity. The video game industry has been influenced by South Park's approach to interactive satirical content. The various South Park games have demonstrated how satirical properties can be adapted to different media while maintaining their subversive edge. The educational impact includes both positive and negative applications, with some teachers using episodes to discuss current events while others struggle with the show's inappropriate content. This educational tension reflects broader debates about entertainment's role in learning environments. The psychological studies of South Park viewership have examined how exposure to satirical content affects political attitudes, social beliefs, and humor appreciation. These studies contribute to broader understanding of how entertainment media influences public opinion and cultural values. The merchandising influence has demonstrated how controversial content can be successfully commercialized without losing its satirical edge. South Park's merchandise success has provided a model for other edgy properties seeking to monetize transgressive content. The celebrity culture impact includes how public figures now anticipate and respond to satirical treatment. The South Park effect describes how celebrities must now consider how their actions might be portrayed in satirical media, potentially influencing their public behavior. The linguistic influence appears in how satirical language has entered everyday conversation. South Park has contributed numerous phrases, concepts, and verbal patterns to American English, demonstrating how entertainment content can shape linguistic evolution. The technology adoption seen in South Park's production methods has influenced how other animated series approach rapid content creation. The show's 6-day production cycle has inspired other productions to experiment with faster turnaround times for topical content. The social media strategy pioneered by South Park's creators has influenced how entertainment properties engage with online audiences. The series' use of controversy to generate buzz has become a template for other satirical content creators. The streaming service impact includes how South Park's distribution model has influenced content creation for digital platforms. The show's success in multiple distribution channels has demonstrated the value of maintaining broad accessibility for satirical content. The international adaptation attempts have shown both the possibilities and limitations of translating American satirical content for global audiences. Various countries have attempted their own versions of South Park with mixed success, revealing cultural barriers to satirical translation. The generational influence appears in how different age groups respond to and interpret South Park content. The series has shaped humor sensibilities across multiple generations, while also revealing generational differences in satirical appreciation. The academic freedom debates sparked by South Park content have influenced university policies regarding controversial educational material. The series has become a test case for academic discussions about appropriate content in educational settings. The therapeutic applications have emerged as some mental health professionals use South Park episodes to discuss social issues, communication patterns, and cultural attitudes with clients. This therapeutic use demonstrates unexpected applications for satirical content. The artistic influence extends to visual arts, music, and literature, with creators across multiple disciplines referencing South Park's aesthetic and thematic approaches. The series has become a cultural reference point that transcends its original medium. The future influence continues to evolve as new generations discover the series, while contemporary episodes address emerging cultural issues. South Park's legacy appears secure as both historical document and ongoing cultural force. What makes South Park's cultural impact particularly significant is how it has maintained relevance across multiple decades, while adapting to changing cultural contexts. The series has proven that satirical content can achieve lasting cultural influence beyond mere entertainment value. The show's legacy ultimately rests on its demonstration that controversial content can serve legitimate cultural purposes while maintaining commercial viability. This balance has influenced countless other creators while establishing new standards for satirical expression in democratic societies. As South Park approaches its third decade of production, questions about its future direction, continued relevance, and eventual conclusion become increasingly important for both fans and cultural observers. The series' evolution suggests several possible trajectories that could define its next chapter. The streaming landscape transformation presents both opportunities and challenges for South Park's future. With Comedy Central's traditional television model evolving and streaming services becoming primary content distributors, the show must adapt its production and distribution strategies while maintaining its rapid response satirical mission. The generational transition in both audience and creative team raises questions about how South Park will maintain relevance for viewers who didn't experience its original cultural impact. New viewers discovering the series through streaming may have different expectations and sensitivities than the audience that grew up with the show. The technological advancement in animation and production could allow for more sophisticated visual storytelling while maintaining the series' deliberately crude aesthetic. However, the creators face the challenge of embracing new technology without losing the handmade feel that defines the show's visual identity. The international expansion possibilities include potential spin-offs, international versions, or co-productions that could extend the South Park brand globally while adapting its satirical approach for different cultural contexts. However, the series' deeply American perspective might limit its adaptability for international markets. The multimedia expansion has already included video games, music albums, and a Broadway musical, suggesting potential for further cross-media projects. The challenge lies in maintaining the series' satirical edge while exploring new formats that might require different approaches to humor and content. The educational applications could expand as the series' cultural significance becomes more widely recognized in academic settings. However, this institutional acceptance might conflict with the show's anti-establishment identity and could potentially compromise its satirical freedom. The archival significance grows as older episodes become historical documents of American cultural attitudes and political discourse. This documentary value adds layers of meaning to the series while creating pressure to maintain cultural relevance in future episodes. The creator's aging and potential retirement raises questions about succession planning and whether South Park could continue without Parker and Stone's direct involvement. Their unique creative partnership and specific cultural perspective seem integral to the series' identity. The political landscape evolution will continue to provide satirical material, but changing cultural attitudes toward offensive humor might require adjustments to the show's approach. The series must balance its transgressive identity with evolving social sensitivity standards. The artificial intelligence and digital content creation could revolutionize how animated series are produced, potentially allowing for even faster production cycles or more complex animations. However, South Park's success partly depends on human creativity and cultural insight that might be difficult to automate. The virtual reality and interactive media present opportunities for immersive South Park experiences that could extend beyond traditional television. These new formats might allow viewers to experience the South Park world more directly while maintaining the series' satirical perspective. The franchise expansion possibilities include theme park attractions, live entertainment, or other experiential offerings that could bring South Park's world to life in new ways. However, translating the series' subversive humor to family-friendly formats presents significant challenges. The documentary potential exists for behind-the-scenes content that could explore the series' cultural impact and production history. Such projects could provide valuable insight into how satirical content is created while potentially influencing future satirical works. The merchandise evolution could include new product categories or licensing opportunities that extend the brand's reach while maintaining its satirical identity. The challenge lies in commercializing transgressive content without diluting its subversive power. The legal precedent establishment through South Park's controversies will continue to influence free speech law and satirical expression rights. Future legal challenges could further define the boundaries of acceptable satirical content in evolving cultural contexts. The cultural institution status that South Park has achieved provides both prestige and responsibility that could influence future creative decisions. The series' recognition as culturally significant might create pressure to maintain certain standards or approaches. The fan community evolution includes both longtime viewers and new audiences discovering the series through different distribution methods. Managing these diverse audience expectations while maintaining creative integrity presents ongoing challenges. The social media integration possibilities could allow for more interactive satirical content that responds to current events in real time. However, this immediacy might conflict with the quality control necessary for effective satirical commentary. The environmental consciousness in animation production might influence future South Park episodes, while also affecting how the series addresses environmental themes. The creator's approach to climate change and sustainability could evolve as these issues become more pressing. The global political influence of American satirical content means that South Park's future direction could have international implications beyond entertainment. The series' treatment of global issues might influence how American cultural exports are received worldwide. The preservation challenges include maintaining access to the complete series catalog while navigating changing distribution rights and censorship standards. Ensuring that future generations can access South Park's complete cultural commentary requires careful archival planning. The creative succession planning becomes crucial as the series considers its eventual conclusion or transition to new creative leadership. The specific cultural perspective and comedic sensibility that Parker and Stone bring might be difficult to replicate or replace. What seems certain is that South Park's future will depend on its ability to maintain satirical relevance while adapting to changing technological, cultural, and political contexts. The series has consistently demonstrated remarkable adaptability throughout its run, suggesting that it may continue finding ways to surprise and provoke audiences. The ultimate legacy question involves how South Park will be remembered once it eventually concludes. Will it be seen as a groundbreaking satirical achievement that influenced American culture, or as a dated relic of a particular cultural moment? The answer may depend on how successfully the series navigates its remaining years while maintaining its cultural significance. The ongoing relevance of South Park's satirical mission suggests that as long as American society provides material for satirical commentary, the series will find ways to remain culturally significant. The challenge lies in executing that mission with the same effectiveness that has defined its past success. After nearly 2 hours of diving deep into South Park's chaotic universe, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just a cartoon about four kids getting into trouble. It's a cultural phenomenon that has fundamentally changed how we think about satire, censorship, and the role of comedy in American society. From its humble origins as a construction paper Christmas card to its status as one of television's longest-running satirical series, South Park has consistently pushed boundaries that other shows wouldn't dare approach. The series has tackled every controversial topic imaginable while maintaining a perspective that's simultaneously cynical and optimistic, crude and sophisticated. What makes South Park truly remarkable is its ability to find genuine insight within outrageous humor. Behind every offensive joke lies a pointed observation about human nature, political hypocrisy, or cultural absurdity. The show's willingness to offend everyone equally has created a kind of satirical democracy where no one is safe from criticism, but everyone is treated with equal irreverence. The series' rapid production schedule and commitment to topical relevance have kept it culturally significant across multiple decades and political administrations. While other satirical shows have come and gone, South Park has maintained its ability to surprise, provoke, and illuminate the absurdities of contemporary life. As we've seen throughout this exploration, South Park's influence extends far beyond entertainment. It has shaped political discourse, influenced internet culture, established legal precedents for free speech, and created a new model for how satirical content can engage with serious social issues. Whether you love it or hate it, whether you find it hilarious or offensive, South Park has undeniably changed the landscape of American comedy and cultural commentary. In a world that often takes itself too seriously, South Park reminds us that sometimes the best way to understand our problems is to laugh at them. The show's greatest achievement may be proving that satirical content can serve serious cultural purposes while remaining genuinely entertaining. By refusing to respect sacred cows or bow to conventional wisdom, South Park has created space for honest conversations about topics that polite society often avoids. As this quiet mountain town continues to survive alien invasions, celebrity meltdowns, and the general chaos of modern life, it serves as a funhouse mirror reflecting our own world back at us in all its ridiculous glory. And maybe, just maybe, that reflection helps us see ourselves a little more clearly. So whether you're here to study, sleep, or just satisfy your curiosity about the deeper mysteries of South Park, remember that sometimes the most profound truths come wrapped in the most outrageous packages. And in South Park, Colorado, population 4,000 something, those truths never stop coming. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the lore, legends, and lasting impact of one of television's most controversial and influential series. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go get myself a cheesy poof.